Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino, back for my post-market wrap-up on this Thursday, October 11th, 2018. Alright, I have a lot of stuff I want to cover here with you. I'm going to start off with the basics and then move on from there. Another significantly down day for the stock market. The closing bell went off seconds ago. I literally sat down here and hit the record button. The Dow Jones Industrial Average peeled off another 550 points. Yesterday we lost over 800 points. Now let's talk about this trading day a little bit. Stocks opened lower, about 150 points regarding the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Then went positive, about 50. Went back down again, 200 pretty much all day long. Then we had a wave of selling at one point during the day. At one time, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down to 699 points. The moment that happened, I don't know, some kind of triggering event occurred and a massive simultaneous wave of buying occurred. The Dow Jones Industrial Average went from being down 699 to being down only about 260. It was incredible to even watch that happen. And then, of course, we bled lower throughout the day. Gold and silver put on very nice gains. Again, this is maybe a full-on safety play that we're seeing here. Cryptocurrencies got slaughtered. Bitcoin down 5%, but some of the other ones down way more than that, 10%, 12% across the board. Again, this goes back to what I've been trying to explain for a very long time. This guy, and I admit this freely, I've lost the ability to value cryptocurrency. That's why I don't hold it anymore. I have a very small amount of Steam, only because of my Steemit blog, about 1,200 bucks worth of that. Now, look, there is a lot of talk going on here, and this is what I want to start off with. Let's put the partisan nonsense aside. We're going to go straight down the middle here. Again, you all know I voted for President Trump. I don't care who sits in that White House. I just want someone there to, number one, level with the American people. Tell us the truth. We can handle it. We're strong enough to do that. Okay? There was a incredible effort today to prop up that bond market. And I know all of you that follow this blog were watching the bond market, and you can see this live right on my website, traderschoice.net, right side of the page under the chat room. Let's talk about the bond market real quick. Today, I just looked, the U.S. 10-year yield, because of all the buying in the bond market, pushed the 10-year yield down to 3.14. Before stocks took a big hit yesterday, we were at 3.26. So you can see it's not really the interest rates that is affecting the market right now, and it depends on the dollar. You all know that. I have covered this at length. I would believe, if you follow this blog, you are a bond market dollar expert. By looking at those dynamics, you have a very good idea of how the rest of the market is going to play out. But this is something different here. And I've explained to you that it's a confidence game. That's really what drives the market. That's just the crazy phenomenon of it. If people believe it's just going to keep on going the way that it is, it will. When something rattles the market and there's uncertainty, you get sell-offs like we have here. Now, just over 2 years ago, there was a person out here who is explaining that the Federal Reserve was hurting savers. Not just Greg Mannarino. There's a lot of guys out here that were saying that. By the Federal Reserve keeping rates artificially low, people out here, American citizens who have an interest-earning account, are losing purchasing power every single day. That they have an interest-earning account because the interest in these accounts, because of suppressed rates, is not keeping up with the rate of inflation. That person was candidate Donald Trump. Candidate Donald Trump, in many, many ways, other than a lot of, he's got a way about him, sounded a lot like Greg Mannarino during the campaign. Okay, now again, let's please partisan politics aside, I am outlining some facts for you. He explained that the environment we were in with regard to the central bank was, again, inflating bubbles. He said this. I mean, this is why I voted for the guy. He explained that the situation was dire. We could not keep borrowing like this. He was going to help control debts and deficits. All that went out the window. And I explained to you, and I should have listened to myself, it's the truth. Before this election, when President Obama was in office, I explained to you that the next president, I had no idea who it was going to be, was going to have to continue to inflate. As a matter of fact, we all know that President Obama doubled the debt in his tenure. I explained to you all at that time that the next president would have to double the debt again just to sustain where we are. We are stealing from the future to sustain the now, where we are. We have to do this in greater and greater amounts. It's a crime in progress, all right? I should have known better. I should have listened to what I said. It wouldn't have mattered who's in that White House. It doesn't matter. It would have been a lot worse, in my opinion, if Hillary got in there. I mean, and I'm talking about a lot worse for a lot of other reasons. But again, we're keeping politics out of here. I'm stating facts right now. So, what President Trump is doing now, and he's been attacking the Federal Reserve since before the meltdown, which caused President Trump shaking the confidence in the market, is what rattled the stock market and will continue to rattle the stock market today, and we may see the same thing tomorrow. Now, I explained to you all in the video that I did yesterday that in order for me to really start to say, hey, something ugly is going on here and may get a lot worse, I wanted to see a follow-through sell-off, which we got today. Doesn't mean we're not going to get a bounce tomorrow and then another follow-through, but this is not looking good for a myriad of reasons. The knee-jerk reaction is missing. The knee-jerk into the dollar, which you would generally see when there's panic in the market. We're not seeing that, although we're seeing stocks fall off of a cliff here. So that may mean something very bad is about to play out here. If we're seeing dollar weakness here and stock market weakness, we're seeing the safety play into precious metals. Like I said, cryptos are getting killed here. Now, what I want all of you to understand here, and this goes back to what President Trump said, these are his words, was he was explaining how interest rates work. He's not a stupid guy. And I never said he was a stupid guy. A lot of you seem to believe that I think he's a stupid guy. He's not a stupid guy. He understands this. Candidate Trump understood this very, very well. But here's the problem. How many of you out here go shopping? I would imagine all of you. How many of you see prices rising the way that they are? I would imagine a lot of you are going, whoa, what's going on here? It's getting out of control. And it really, really is. Now, what dictates the purchasing power of the currency in your pocket? Well, it comes down to interest rates. The Federal Reserve has created a financial Frankenstein, unlike anything that we have ever seen in the history of the world. Under the last president, Obama, the Federal Reserve stepped in with quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, Operation Twist, and they are still propping up the bond market today. Understand, the Federal Reserve has no magical powers. If you follow this blog, you know exactly what I'm going to say, but many people are not aware of this. In order for the Federal Reserve to adjust interest rates up or down, they have to get into the market and either buy and or sell debt. They do this by getting cash printed out of thin air and buying bonds to keep rates low, to keep them suppressed. Look at the bond market action today. A lot of bond buying occurred. It pushed the 10-year yield down. This is how the market works. It's a cause and effect. It's very simple. Quantitative easing never stopped. Although President Trump, when he was candidate Trump, did explain to us that this was a mechanism to keep the market propped up. He seems to have forgotten that. Again, I am stating a fact here. I am not putting the president down. I want him to succeed. I want us all to succeed. I want him to tell the truth. Now, I want to go on about this a little bit further. So, all of you see prices rising around you. All of you understand that your interest-earning accounts are losing purchasing power every day, that the Federal Reserve keeps interest rates suppressed. All of you understand that every day that the Federal Reserve is allowed to issue more of their product to the world, all the world's central banks, the central banks get stronger. To weaken the central banks, we have to take away their power. Their power exists in one thing, their ability to issue debt. Period. It ends there. So, I understand what's going on here with the markets, and it seems that our president wants to in some way blame the Fed for what's going on here. But a lot of this is his policies that are affecting the market. Now, again, this could be anybody sitting in the White House. This is just what is going on, and we are in a trade war. All warfare is based on deception, even deception of the people, which I find profoundly disturbing. Now, if the Federal Reserve, like I've been explaining to you, first of all, let's back up a moment. If the Federal Reserve is massively, and I cannot stress this enough, behind the curve with regard to raising rates. President Trump is 100%, in fact, 1,000 gazillion percent correct. The Federal Reserve should have been raising rates much sooner under President Obama. He said it during the campaign, and he was right. In fact, when he said that, I was jumping around my living room cheering this guy on, saying, wow, we really have a guy out here with guts. He's explaining that this is not real, the environment we're in. But again, he has forgotten that. Not only has he forgotten that, he's trying to get the Fed to not raise rates. We need rates to rise for several reasons, and it goes back to not just the fact that this environment is 100% fake. We have a debt bubble, which has reinflated a housing bubble, which has reinflated a stock market bubble. But it's also causing inflation, okay? That's why you're seeing the price of everything go up. If the Federal Reserve were to raise rates, not in a glacial pattern, again, they are so behind the curve, President Trump's own words, that is just ridiculous. If the Federal Reserve were to get in here and start raising rates in a normal fashion to normalize, because we are in an abnormal environment, the Fed's words, not me. The Federal Reserve is maintaining accommodative monetary policy. Their words, not me. If the Fed were to raise rates in a normal, controlled fashion, even a glacial one that they're doing now, your dollars would start getting stronger. Your purchasing power would increase. Your interest earning accounts would start to keep up with the rate of inflation. You would become richer by gaining purchasing power. Why doesn't President Trump want you to have an interest earning account that earns a real rate of return? Why doesn't President Trump want you to have a stronger dollar? He admitted that he wants to keep the dollar weak. Do you want to have a dollar weak, or would you rather have your dollar have purchasing power? You understand? So there is a very delicate balancing act going on here. The Federal Reserve, again, has created a financial Frankenstein. Flooded, it's not just the Fed, all world central banks, but we're going to stick with the Fed, has printed and added digits to a screen, dollars, and flooded the world unlike anything we have ever seen before in history. The Federal Reserve is very well aware, and so is our president, and this is the shocking part, that all of these extra bills in any form that they exist in is going to chase the same amount of goods at one particular time. And we have the potential for hyperinflation. That dollar you have will become worthless unless the Federal Reserve grabs the bull by the horns and starts raising rates. So the president here, again, any president, it doesn't have to be Trump. So forget the partisan politics, because I know I'm going to get slammed with it, because I got it all day long. Whatever president would be sitting in that pretty White House right now should be concerned about you, should be concerned about your dollars that you are fully invested in if you live here in the United States. He should be concerned that you need to preserve some of that and not allow all of these extra bills that are floating around the earth to chase the same amount of goods here. So, again, the Federal Reserve is massively behind the curve. He admitted this as the candidate. He should be encouraging the Fed to raise rates. They're doing this at a glacial pace. And again, right now, the 10-year yield has dropped. It's not gone higher. He can blame the Fed all he wants. It's not the Fed that's driving this. It's confidence in the market that is driving this. Anybody who has even a little bit of knowledge of how money works, how the markets work, can see this. But most people have no idea. They're not taught these things in school, and there is a reason behind it. So look, it's up to you here. And I don't think we need a secret plan. Look, there are many of you out here who believe that this is the plan, that President Trump is going to, via some kind of backdoor secret mechanism, get rid of the Federal Reserve. Why keep it secret? The American people would back him up. Nobody out here, well, can't say nobody. Very few people out here have spoken as loudly as this guy sitting in front of you about how he detests what the Federal Reserve is doing. I have explained to you that the Federal Reserve is nothing but a serial bubble blower. That's all they do. They allow these bubbles to manifest themselves, hyper manifest themselves in this kind of a situation where we are now, which our president has fed into by again, forget about Trump. Pretend it's somebody else in there, okay? Pretend it's me sitting in that White House over there. I'm sitting there telling people our economy is very, very strong. Our stock market keep hitting record high after record high. What are people going to do? They're going to start throwing their cash into the market, chasing it. They're going to start borrowing to do it. They're going to take out loans against their homes. They're going to start burying themselves in more debt than they already are. Consumer debt, new record high every single day. Margin debt, the debt that people have borrowed to participate in the market, new record highs every day. So if Greg Mannarino is sitting in this White House and saying all this stuff, what are people going to do? They're going to be piling into the stock market, inflating it. Who's getting hurt over the past couple of days as the stock market has melted down? Not the central banks, it's the people who are losing investment dollars that they've put into the market. Don't you understand this? This is a game to fleece the middle class. If our president wanted to end the Fed, the American people, including this guy sitting here, would back him up 100%. He does not need a secret plan, a clandestine plan to do this that is being vomited out of the mouth of the many YouTube blogs, some of which are people I even care about. Why do we need a secret plan? Why can't our president explain to people, I want to end the Fed. We need to take control of our money, people. We would all back him up. But no, there has to be a secret plan here. You know, this is what people do. People need to believe there's a plan bigger than themselves that is going on. But no, it is you. This government here is supposed to be of the people, for the people, by the people. You remember all that? You run the show. When are you going to realize that? We let these people here run amok. We've let them do whatever they want, and we have the power to change it. So, who here, put up your hand, would back the president up, and not some kind of a clandestine plan, but a real plan to end the Fed? That's what we need. Let's get rid of this freaking corrupt institution. It's not going to happen under this president. And I want to go on record again saying that. How many of you out here are willing to make a deal with me? There are many of you out here who believe that President Trump has a secret plan to take down the Fed, that the Fed is going to be no more in a very short period of time. I will admit publicly for all of you that I was wrong. Around the world, my blog is pretty darn big. I'll admit this to everybody. If the Fed disappears while President Trump is in office this term or next, if he gets reelected, if you are willing to say, Greg, you know what, you were right and I was wrong, I doubt very few of you will take me up on that. Because I can promise you the Fed will be standing after President Trump leaves office unless he brings the people together here and tells us all that he wants to end the Fed. We will back him up. I am more than certain the American people will stand by this man and end this organization that has been literally the ruination of the middle class since time in freaking memorial. But again, there are many of you who believe that we need a secret plan to do this. It's almost laughable. That's all I have to say. Forget the secret plan. Let's bring it out in the open here. If President Trump wants to end the Fed, let's do it. Let's do it now while he has the power and the people to back him up to do it. We do not need a secret plan. And no plan exists to do that. That's the truth. Anyway, like I said, let's watch this market, people. Going to be very, very interesting. I'll see you in the morning. If you think this has been important, if you think people need to hear this, share it. Get it out there.